Hi, it's Mike from TRIDOS.DESIGN, and in this video we'll go over the installation for the SSX23 and MK23 nozzle springs, which look something like this. And for this installation you'll probably need a Sharpie knife or a razor blade. This is mostly needed for SSX23s and the other clones. If you're using an Tokyo Marui MK23, then you might not need this, as the top spring is not glued in. And then probably a flathead screwdriver with a small bit will come in handy as well. So to get started, we need to get rid of the top slide. So just take out the pin, like so. We won't be needing the frame, so we can put that aside. Next up, we want to remove the barrel assembly. So just pull it back, lift it upwards, and it should come out like this. This we will also not need. We can put that aside. And now we're just left with the slide and the nozzle unit. For the MK23, it's a bit tighter fit, but on the clones, like the SSX23 and ASG and SDTI ones, it should come out fairly easily. I usually just pull it by this piece right here and hold it by the back, and then slowly wiggle it out, and it should come out something like this. On the Tokyo Marui, keep a note that this spring is not glued in, so when you pull it out, it might jump and fly away. So just be aware of that and be ready. So we can put the slide away, and let's zoom in a little bit. So this is the nozzle, and here we have the top spring and the bottom spring. And if this is the first time doing this upgrade, then you'll know that this top spring on the clones is actually glued in at the very end here. So that's something we will have to deal with right now. For this, we usually use something like a small knife, and we can just slowly scratch away from the sides and from the top until we can release the spring guide. Keep in mind that during this process, the original spring might get a little bit damaged, or at least the very end. So yeah, just take it slow and careful, and you should be good. So let's do that right now. So we just managed to loosen up the bar itself, but the spring is still a bit glued in at the very end. So let's try to free up the spring. So I think we got it. So as you can see, the very end is quite glued in, so you might need to pull on it a bit. So once you free it up, you can see that you can lift up the bar and it will just come out. So be mindful when you're pulling it out. Try not to bend it too much upwards, as you might break this part right here, as it's made from plastic. So yeah, just carefully lift it up just a little bit, and then it should just pop out. And for the spring, as you can see, the very end is still very much glued in, so let's try to get it out. There we go. As you can see, the spring is mostly intact. If you just cut off this very small part, then the spring should be still usable, but we won't be needing this, so we can put that aside. And once you remove it for the first time, just make sure you clean up this area a little bit. Just make sure there's no excess glue left there, so that the spring bar can sit back nicely in place where it should be. So that looks quite good. Now we can also remove the bottom spring. For this one, it's quite easy. We just take the flathead screwdriver and we can just pull it on this end and just pop it out. And we can then just pull it out, something like this. So again, for safekeeping, you can just put these back in the bag where you got the upgraded springs, so you don't lose them, and just put them aside. Now we have the trigger bar and the nozzle unit for your springs. We can go ahead and start installing the upgraded ones. So for this one, you'll just go ahead and start with the non-pointy end, so the one that doesn't have the small coils. You start by doing that and push it over the peg that's on the nozzle right here. So you do that, and then again you take the flathead screwdriver, pull it on the very last coils. You might need to help a little bit with the fingers. And just popped in place, and there's a small hole where the small coils will just pop right in. So this is how it should look like, and just make sure that it's moving properly by pushing on the nozzle. So this looks good. So we can now move on to installing the top nozzle spring. First you want to do is put the small bar in place, just like so, and then you can slide the spring on top, pull it back a little bit, and you can put it in place. So if you're not planning to remove the spring again, just to make things easier, you can either use a little dab of super glue and put it back in place just like it was originally, but you can also just hold it with your finger, or maybe use a small piece of tape just temporarily and put it over just the very front. Yeah, do whichever is easier for you. But this is now ready to go. Just keep your finger a little bit on the top nozzle spring, and we can go back to assembling the pistol. So we want to take the slide and just, again, be mindful of the spring, that it might fly out, and just install it back in place. And on this 623 metal slide, it's super easy. It just slots in place and should look something like this. Now we can go ahead and take the barrel assembly, put that in place. And all that's left to do is put it on the pistol. So just start with the back, angle it slightly, then push it down and slide it on. And all that's left to do is install the slide pin and rack it back, push it in fully, and that's pretty much it. Now you can test the pistol, cycle. If you have the stock springs, you'll notice that the trigger pull might be slightly stronger than it was originally, but everything's ready to go and the upgrade's complete. So if you run into any issues, just make sure to write us on our Facebook page, TRIDOS Airsoft, or you can reach out to our customer support email, which you can find on our website, and we'll help you out. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next one.